Alrighty then, Code Bacon welcomes you to this video in which we are going to talk about virtual environments and how to install a package inside of that. This is for Python, and it is expected that you've already installed Python on your computer and you're ready to go. So I have this folder, Code Bacon, and I have another folder in there called Virtual Environment Cowsay. Yeah, that's going to be the package we're going to play around with. So the first thing we want to do is install a virtual environment, and there's a bunch of different ways we can do that, but we basically want to open this folder into our control panel or our terminal if we're on Mac. One way you can do that on PC, which is kind of cool, is you can click up here, type in CMD, hit enter, and then that will open up a terminal directly in this folder. Or what we can do, I'm going to right click, show more options. We're going to open this with code, uh, Visual Studio Code. Get that open. And then once we're in here, we can go to view, terminal, new terminal, and that'll open it as well inside of Visual Studio Code. So it's kind of really however you want to do this. And I would recommend just using the command prompt here. You can click on the little arrow and do select default profile. And you may have Git Bash or PowerShell, or it may use PowerShell by default, but we just want to use command prompt. But either way will work here. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file in this folder. I'll just call it Cowsay virtual environment.py because that's what we're going to do. All right, so the first question is, what the heck is a virtual environment? Well, in Python, there's all kinds of different versions of Python. There's 3 dot whatever. There's, back in the day, people used 2 dot whatever. So there's version 2, version 3. But a virtual environment's your own little playground where, let's say you had a project that used 3.3, and then you had another project that used 3.1, and then maybe you had another project that uses 2.6. Well, a virtual environment is just that. It's an environment where you can install whatever version of Python you need to use, and then all of the different packages that use that version as well. So it's just a way to have your kind of your own little environment, your own little location where you use certain things. And so I could create one project that uses Python 2.2, and I use a virtual environment for that. And then I can jump over to another folder that says let's say uses 3.3, and then I create a project in that. So it's just a way to create these separate areas that are just for those versions of Python. All right, so how do you create those? Well, let me bring some stuff up here. So if you're on a Mac, to create a virtual environment, you're going to type Python 3-m, which is saying module, or this is the module we're going to use, and we're going to use this module called venv, or venv, which is virtual environment, and we're going to create it inside of this folder called virtual environment, so venv. You can call this whatever you want. It could be myvenv or whatever, but usually it's just venv. And then once it's been created, we'll see a folder over here where it's stored, and then we have to activate it. On a Mac, that's what you're going to type. To get it activated, this has to be the folder that's created, so make sure that matches up. And then to deactivate that in virtual environment or get out of it, you type out here deactivate. Now I'm on PC, so I'm going to type this. Now, depending on your install, you might have to type Python 3. I'm going to be able to just type Py, so you just want to type the one that works here. So I'm going to type Py-m venv. And you want to make sure, of course, your terminal is in the location that you want to create the virtual environment, which for me is this folder over here, right? The virtual environment Cowsay. So I'm going to hit enter. And sometimes it might say, hey, we noticed that a new environment's been created. Do you want to select it? Yeah, you do want to select this. Now pay attention down here when I hit yes. Notice how now it recognizes that we're in this new virtual environment. Sometimes if Visual Studio Code doesn't know that you're in this virtual environment, things that you install, the packages that you install aren't going to work. So you can always click right here Like, let's say it still thinks I'm in Python. It doesn't know that I'm in that virtual environment. Well, I can click on the 3.13.2 or whatever, and I can say, hey, I want to be in that virtual environment that I just created. And you just want to make sure down here that Visual Studio Code recognizes now that we're in this virtual environment. Okay, now there's the folder. If we drop it down, we have our lib, we have include, we have scripts. These are all the different things that really, to be honest, we're not going to touch. But now what this allows us to do is install different packages which allow us to do really cool things in Python. So we want to activate it next. Okay, now on the command prompt here in Windows, we get this little thing in parentheses letting us know that, hey, we are now activated in that virtual environment that we created. Now that the virtual environment is activated, we can deactivate it if we want, which takes us back out. But I'm going to activate it back. And now what I can do is start installing things. Now I'm in this virtual environment where I can install whatever packages I need to do my project. And then let's say I wanted to hop into a different project. Well, I could deactivate this virtual environment, then go into the other folder and then activate the virtual environment in a different folder. And now I have access to all the different things that that project needs. Because maybe you're creating a project that needs a server, and then you create a different project that maybe needs to do database stuff. And these different projects have different packages. Well, with these virtual environments, you can have all these different projects have their own different packages, and they can all be separated into their own virtual environments. And that's kind of the power of these virtual environments here. Okay, so now what I can do is install packages inside this virtual environment that let me do cool things. So I'm going to say pip install Cowsay. This is kind of a goofy little package that lets us do ASCII art, which is kind of cool. So now that I have installed it, I can import it. Okay, now notice how inside of this lib folder here, site packages, Cowsay is now in here because I installed it with my pip install Cowsay, right? And now if I were to go create a different virtual environment, that virtual environment would not have Cowsay. Only this one does, the one that I've been creating and messing around with here. Right, now to use this, we use this thing called get output string. This is a function that's built into Cowsay. And this allows you to say, okay, I'm going to print out the character Beavis. And I can say, I'm Cornelio, or whatever the heck he does. Right now, I'm imagining him with the shirt over his head. But this is built into Cowsay. Cowsay lets us print out this little character that looks like Beavis, and then it lets us tell, I don't know, give him a little speech bubble that has him say things. All right, so now that I've installed that into my virtual environment, right, using pip install, I've imported it. Now I can use it, and I can use get output string, which is a function built into Cowsay, and then all I got to do is define what character I want and what I want them to say, and then I can run it. Heck yeah. I mean, it kind of looks like him, maybe an alien or something. I don't know. But that's supposed to be Beavis. And then I'm Cornholio. And there's a bunch of other cool things you can do with this. Let me, let's see. If you can duplicate the line by holding down Alt Shift and then the down arrow. And on Mac, it's going to be something similar. But I just want to show off, a couple other things that this package gives us, what Cowsay gives us. So we can do Ghostbusters. Now, if you don't have this little play button up here, run Python file, if you go to extensions, you might need to install Python from Microsoft, Python debugger, Python environment manager, Python. I mean, there's a bunch of different packages that I've installed here. If this play button isn't working, if the play button isn't working, You can always just open up your command prompt here and then just make sure you're in the folder, right? I'm in venv Cowsay, and then you could just run it from here. So Python 3, and then whatever the name of that Python file is, that should work. But for me on PC, it's going to be a little bit different. Oh, now this is a good thing to see, is I tried to run it and it's like, hey, there's no module named Cowsay. And that's because currently I'm not in my virtual environment. So it's not looking in this folder. This is a good error to see because you're like, well, I did install it and everything's good, but it's been installed in the virtual environment. So to actually get to it, right, we have to activate the virtual environment. Now that I'm in it, I press up on the keyboard twice. The up arrow, right? This cycles through the history of the commands that I've done. Okay, and then now it works. And that's because, right, I didn't have that virtual environment activated. So if it says it can't find the modules, well, that's just because you're not in the virtual environment where those modules are installed. Okay, but then there's Beavis. And then, yeah, there's our little Ghostbuster dude. Who are you going to call? Right? Ghostbusters. So that's if that play button doesn't work or doesn't exist there. That's the other way you can do it. A couple of other ones that I think are kind of fun. Stimpy. Oh, Ren and Stimpy. Great show. If you haven't seen it, if you're a youngin', I would say go take a look at it. It was an old Nickelodeon show. It's a little weird. Some of the art is a little crazy. Let's comment this one out for now. Let's take a look at what Stimpy looks like. Heck yeah. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Joy. Good old Stimpy, man. He's awesome. All right. And then the last one that I think is kind of cool. And I mean, dude, this is code bacon, right? You gotta have a pig. And pig's gonna be like, one day I will become bacon. And of course, that makes him very happy because, bacon is amazing. There he goes. There's our little piggy dude. One day I'll become bacon. All right. And then one other thing here. If you're in the terminal and you want to kind of test out this Cowsay, you can just call it from the terminal here. Say, hey, we're going to do some text. I think I swallowed my squeaker. If you're amazing and you know what show this is from, put it in the comments. I think I swallowed my squeaker. And then we got this little. Now, I get it. This is the Linux penguin. Yes, I know. His name's Tux. But here we're saying this is the text we want him to say. That's what the T stands for. And then I'm guessing the C is character. And then you put in that. So, but yeah, if you know what movie that's from, let me know. See how smart you guys are. I don't think I would have known it. But anyways, that's what virtual environments are in Python here. Just a place where you can install these different modules and packages, do different things. And then once you have them installed, you can import them, play around with them. And they only exist in this virtual environment. If I were to go and create another folder and code bacon and do different things in different places, they'd all have their own separate virtual environments. So hopefully that helps. And hey, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Do the best I can to answer them. But we'll just for the most part, in the chat or in the comments, right? We'll have other people answer. I'll do my best, but I'm a busy guy. I got things going on. But anyways, remember, burn the bugs, not the bacon. See you around, people.